Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
They see you as a shadow, a footnote in their own grand narrative, a character they have already written out of the final act. Their gaze holds a soft, dismissive pity, a quiet arrogance that assumes your ceiling is their floor. But this is not a curse, it is a gift, an unfair advantage granted by their own hubris. You have been given the most precious tool in a world obsessed with public display: invisibility. While they posture and perform for a crowd that will forget them by morning, you are in the quiet, unlit corners of the arena, observing their every flaw, every weakness, every predictable move. Let them celebrate their assumed victory in the blinding light of the stadium. It is a light that blinds them to the truth of your existence, a truth that is being forged not in the noise of their approval, but in the brutal, unflinching silence of your own work. The less they know, the more they will fear the coming reveal. The silence that surrounds you is not a sign of your absence, but a testament to your focus. While they were busy announcing their intentions, you were building the architecture of your destiny. Every moment they spent seeking validation was a moment you dedicated to mastering your craft, to strengthening your resolve, to hardening your mind against the corrosive whispers of doubt. Your discipline is not born of a need for praise. It is a cold, unwavering commitment to a purpose they are incapable of understanding. This is a war that is won in the hours before the dawn, in the lonely repetition of 1,000 small and difficult tasks that no one will ever applaud you for. This quiet labor, this unseen effort, is the steel from which your victory will be forged. The world will only see the final product. They will never see the blistering heat of the furnace. Their low expectations are the greatest weight they have lifted from your shoulders. You are unburdened by the crushing pressure of 1,000 judging eyes, free from the constant need to prove your worth to a fleeting audience. You have been granted the freedom to fail spectacularly without a single soul to witness it, to experiment without the crippling fear of public humiliation. While they perform for the shallow approval of strangers, you are engaged in a private, high-stakes game of self-mastery. The mistakes you make are not headlines, they are lessons. The setbacks you face are not defeats, they are the necessary grinding and sharpening of your resolve. You are not fighting for a trophy they can hold, you are fighting for the absolute and undeniable truth of your own power, a truth that requires no audience to exist. Your arsenal is not visible to the naked eye. It is an armory of pain endured, of lessons learned, of resilience forged in the crucible of your own struggle. While they speak of strategy, you embody it. While they talk of courage, you have lived it. They have read the book on warfare, but you have survived the battlefield. The weapons you wield are not flashy or loud. They are the quiet, chilling precision of an unbreakable will and a mind that has been trained to see past their empty boasts. They cannot prepare for an opponent they do not believe exists. They are counting on you to be the version of yourself they have already created in their minds, a version they have deemed unworthy of their attention. This is their greatest miscalculation, the fatal flaw in their grand design. Your meekness is not a natural state, it is a deliberate deception. You are a coiled spring, an unexploded ordnance waiting for the perfect moment of impact. The less they understand your ambitions, the more they will underestimate the force you are building. You have trained yourself to listen more than you speak, to observe more than you act. You have learned the rhythm of their weaknesses, the predictable tempo of their self-aggrandizement. They will mistake your silence for a lack of intelligence and your humility for a lack of pride. But your quietness is not emptiness, it is a profound and chilling promise of a coming storm. You are not simply a ghost, you are the hunter, and they are blissfully unaware that they have already walked into your trap. Do not mistake their arrogance for strength. It is a mask for their most profound vulnerabilities. Their overconfidence is a blind spot the size of a mountain, a fundamental error in their assessment of the world around them. They have become so convinced of their own inevitability that they have forgotten how to fight, how to struggle, how to bleed for what they want. They believe their victory is a foregone conclusion, and this belief makes them careless, sloppy, and tragically predictable. You, on the other hand, have been gifted with the chilling knowledge that nothing is guaranteed. You do not expect victory. You demand it moment by moment through an unrelenting commitment to the process. Their pride is the flaw that will bring them to their knees, and your humility is the tool you will use to cut the legs out from under them. The moment of revelation will not be a sudden, flashy display of power. It will be a cold, methodical dismantling of their reality. They will watch in disbelief as the quiet, unassuming figure they so easily dismissed begins to move with an unearthly precision, a brutal efficiency that can only be forged in the darkness of solitude. The moment their eyes widen in a dawning horror, as they realize the full and terrible measure of your strength, is the moment you will have your victory. It will not be accompanied by triumphant shouts or grand gestures, but by a quiet, devastating finality. Their understanding will come too late, a gasp of recognition in the very second that their world crumbles. This is the truth of being underestimated. It is not about proving them wrong. It is about showing them the mistake they made by forgetting that greatness is a silent predator. The true moment of triumph is not the roar that follows your victory, it is the silence. It is the eerie stillness that settles over the battlefield after the last of their noise has faded. The shock and awe of their defeat will speak louder than any words you could ever utter. You have proven your point not with a monologue, but with a relentless execution of your purpose. The absence of your boast, the lack of your celebration, is the final and most powerful act of your dominance. It confirms that you were never playing their game, that their validation was never the prize you sought. You were always moving on a different plane of existence, fighting a different war. Your silence in victory will be the most deafening sound they will ever hear. This state of being underestimated is a perpetual advantage you must guard and cultivate. Do not let them fully understand you. Do not give away your secrets. Do not seek the spotlight, for the spotlight makes you predictable, vulnerable. The moment they think they have your measure, you must change the rules of the game. Always be in a state of quiet becoming. Always be one step ahead. Always be building a new arsenal in the shadows. Your anonymity is your greatest shield, and your unpredictability is your most powerful sword. The power of being underestimated is not a one-time trick. It is a state of perpetual readiness, a master key that will unlock every door you wish to enter. They crave the sound of 1,000 hands clapping. They live for the fleeting, deafening roar of approval, for the brief, intoxicating moment of being seen. This hunger is the driving force of their every action, the silent architect of their every public pronouncement. Their entire existence is a desperate, frantic effort to build signals, loud, flashing, undeniable beacons of their own self-worth. They believe that power is something you can advertise, a product you can market with grand gestures and carefully curated triumphs. They are the artists of the facade, meticulously crafting a public persona designed not to be effective, but to be impressive. They confuse the noise of a crowd with the silent force of genuine power, mistaking a hollow echo for a profound and chilling truth. This constant performance consumes them, siphoning the very energy that could have been used for something of substance. They are addicted to the fleeting validation of strangers, a drug that offers a temporary high, but leaves them with a terrifying, insatiable emptiness when the lights go down and the crowd goes home. This endless cycle of seeking external praise is a tragic, self-inflicted wound. The signals they build are a house of cards erected on a foundation of air. They are not built for endurance, only for show. A signal is a flimsy thing, utterly dependent on an audience to give it meaning. Without the applause, the grand gestures mean nothing. The boast becomes a whisper, the victory a forgotten moment. This terrifying fragility is the hidden cost of a life lived for public consumption. They are slaves to a narrative they cannot control, their worth determined by a fleeting and unforgiving judge. They believe their monument is built for the ages, but it is a sandcastle washed away by the first wave of public indifference. In the silence between the applause, they are confronted with a chilling truth. They have built a magnificent lie, but they have forgotten to build themselves. The terror of this realization drives them to even more desperate acts of self-promotion, a frantic attempt to reignite a fire that has already burned out. Discipline, however, knows nothing of signals. It is a silent, unyielding architect of a different kind of power. It does not seek the public eye or crave the roar of approval. It is the cold, brutal, and untelevised work of building structures, foundations of competence laid with painstaking effort, walls of resilience forged through 1,000 quiet failures, and a roof of unshakable will. The man of discipline is a master craftsman, not a performer. He is not building for an audience, but for the unforgiving, silent judge within. He does not need a cheering crowd to tell him he is making progress. He feels the unshakable truth of his own growth in the very sinew and bone of his being. His work is its own reward, his purpose its own monument. He is not building a reputation, he is building a reality, a fortress of inner strength that is impervious to the shifting sands of public opinion. He does not fear the silence, for the silence is the very crucible where his power is forged. A signal is a desperate plea for attention. A structure is a statement of fact. The man who builds signals will always be seeking. His every project, every ambition, every achievement is a question mark waiting for an answer from the crowd. He is a prisoner to the whims of others, his path dictated by the shifting currents of popular opinion. He will abandon a brilliant idea if it does not receive immediate validation. He will compromise his vision for a quick burst of applause. His trajectory is a meandering, chaotic journey from one source of approval to the next. The man of discipline, however, is on a pilgrimage to a destination only he can see. His path is a straight, unwavering line, guided not by the external noise but by the quiet, internal certainty of his own purpose. He does not compromise. He does not seek approval. He simply builds, block by quiet block, with an unassailable and terrifying efficiency that requires no witness to be real. When the applause stops, as it always must, the man of signals is left with nothing but an echo. His entire existence was a performance, and the stage is now empty. The fame is gone, the praise is forgotten, and he is left alone with the terrifying reality of his own emptiness. He has no internal reservoir of worth to draw from, because he never bothered to fill it. The facade he so carefully constructed crumbles into dust, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. This is the moment of his greatest despair, a silent, brutal reckoning with the man he never became. He has no foundation to stand on, no internal purpose to guide him. He is simply a ghost haunting the ruins of a reputation that was never his to begin with. The silence is not peaceful. It is a chilling, deafening judgment on a life that was lived entirely for show. The man who lived for the applause is left with nothing but the silence. The true test of a man's character is not what he does when the world is watching, but what he does when the world is not. This is the ultimate crucible, the final and most brutal trial. The man of ego, left alone, will find his purpose shrivel and die, for it was never his to begin with. It was merely a loan from the crowd. His ambition was a borrowed engine, and without the fuel of attention, it sputters and dies. But the man of discipline is built for this darkness. The absence of an audience is not a punishment. It is a profound and unshakable validation. The lack of external praise is the proof that his work is for himself, for his own unyielding standards, for his own private and sacred purpose. In the quiet solitude, his resolve does not falter, it deepens. The silence does not terrify him, it fortifies him. He has built a life that is immune to the fickle whims of others, and his power is a wellspring that flows from within. A life built on signals is a life of perpetual anxiety. It is a never-ending chase, a frantic struggle to outrun the silence. Every waking moment is a calculation, a strategic decision on how to get the most attention for the least amount of effort. They cannot rest, cannot truly relax. For the moment they stop performing, they cease to exist in the minds of others. This exhausting pursuit leaves no room for genuine purpose, for deep connection, or for the quiet, unassailable joy of true mastery. They become masters of perception, but tragically, they remain apprentices in the art of living. Their inner world is a desert, a desolate landscape of unfulfilled potential and gnawing insecurity. This is the most profound betrayal of all, a trade of their own soul for the fleeting, worthless currency of public admiration. They have given away their power for the illusion of control. The quiet, relentless man of discipline lives in a state of grace. He is not defined by his external achievements, but by his internal fortitude. His power is a silent, unyielding force that does not need to announce itself. He does not need to be seen to know that he is growing, because he feels the undeniable truth of it in his bones. He knows his worth not from the applause of others, but from the unwavering knowledge of what he has built with his own two hands. His confidence is not an act. It is the natural byproduct of an unshakable inner certainty. He is not a slave to the whims of the crowd, for his worth is not theirs to give or take away. This freedom is the source of his true, terrifying power. He is an unmovable object in a world of shifting, shallow surfaces, a monument to a truth that requires no audience to be real. They crave the immediate, the instantaneous, a world that delivers results on a schedule dictated by their own impatience. They believe growth is an event, a sudden transformation that can be captured and shared, a moment of triumph broadcast to an adoring audience. But their biology itself is a chilling, unyielding truth that stands in direct opposition to this lie. The flesh you inhabit, the machine that carries your consciousness, operates on a timetable that cares nothing for your desperation or your need for a quick win. It is a system built for a profound, agonizingly slow process of change. This fundamental reality is the first barrier you must overcome, the first lie you must dismantle, before you can even begin the sacred work of becoming. You cannot bargain with the laws of nature. You cannot trick the universe into giving you what you have not earned. This cold, biological reality is the most profound and terrifying teacher you will ever have. It demands an absolute surrender of your ego and a complete submission to the unseen, unglamorous process of change. It will not be rushed. It will not be fooled. Consider the muscle, the very sinew that gives you the illusion of power. You tear it down in the gym, a brutal, deliberate act of destruction. But it does not rebuild in a single night. The growth, the increase in size and density, is an invisible, cellular process that takes weeks of relentless, agonizingly consistent effort. The man who craves the mirror's approval after a single day of work is a fool. He is a child throwing a tantrum at the feet of a timeless, unyielding law. The true growth, the deep foundational change, is happening in the quiet moments of recovery, in the cellular repair that is happening unseen and unacknowledged. The world only sees the final product, the hardened physique, the visible proof of power. But the man who understands the truth knows the real work was 1,000 invisible moments of rest, 1,000 silent acts of discipline, 1,000 nights of quiet, unobserved healing. He does not need a cheering crowd to tell him he is making progress. He feels the slow, undeniable truth in his very bones. The very chemistry of your ambition operates on an even more profound timeline. Your hormonal landscape, the silent conductor of your will and your drive, shifts not in days but in months. The man who seeks to change his confidence in a single moment, with a single act, is an act of self-deception. The change that matters, the deep, foundational shift in temperament and resilience, is the result of a protracted months-long commitment to a new way of living. It is the accumulation of 100 small victories, 1,000 disciplined acts that slowly, imperceptibly, alter the very chemistry of your mind. You do not wake up one day a different person. You become a different person through a relentless, agonizingly slow process of self-recalibration. The world sees the result, the sudden confidence, the unshakable resolve, and calls it a transformation. But you know the truth. You know it was a quiet, untelevised war fought in the dark, a brutal and uncompromising battle that only you could see. And then there is reputation, the most glacial, most unforgiving growth of all. It is not built with a single, dramatic act of heroism. It is not something you can command with a loud proclamation. A reputation is a structure built from 1,000 consistent, quiet, and utterly unglamorous acts of integrity. It is the result of years spent showing up when no one was watching, of doing the right thing when there was no one to applaud you for it. It is the slow accumulation of trust, a deep-seated respect that is earned not with a signal but with a structure. The man who tries to build a reputation overnight is building a myth, a hollow lie that will crumble under the slightest pressure. But the man who understands the truth, who knows that a reputation is a monument to a life of quiet, consistent discipline, is building something that will outlast him. He knows that the most profound and lasting influence is a matter of decades, not days. The biology of your own existence serves as the ultimate indictment of your impatience. Your body, your mind, your very place in the world, all operate on a principle of slow, hidden growth. The man who fights against this reality is a man who fights against his own nature. He is like a child trying to force a seed to become a tree in a single afternoon. He will fail, and his failure will be a testament to his hubris, to his fundamental misunderstanding of how the universe works. He chases the instant gratification of applause and the fleeting triumph of a quick win, but he is running a race that can only be won by endurance. His impatience is a self-inflicted wound, a psychological shackle that prevents him from ever achieving anything of substance. He will be remembered not for his victories, but for his frantic, useless struggle against a truth that was always going to win. To truly grow, you must embrace the darkness, the silence, the utter and complete lack of an audience. You must become addicted to the process, not the outcome. This is where the magic happens, in the quiet, unlit corners of your life where there is no one to applaud your triumphs or to mock your failures. This isolation is not a punishment. It is a profound and chilling act of mercy. It is the only way to ensure that your trajectory is not influenced by the expectations of others, by the fleeting trends of a world that does not care about your ultimate purpose. It is the only way to guarantee that your strength is born from the unwavering bedrock of your own will, and not from the fickle approval of a crowd. When you have no one to impress, you are free to do the work that is truly necessary, the work that will make you a force of nature. The world will not understand this path. They will mistake your silence for weakness, and your lack of a public presence for an absence of ambition. Let them. Their ignorance is your most potent weapon, their disbelief your greatest advantage. While they are busy posturing for an audience, you are in the quiet workshop of your own soul, building an arsenal that will bring them to their knees. Your quiet labor is a testament to a truth they cannot comprehend, that the most devastating power is the one that is built in secret. The shock and awe of your final reveal will not come from a sudden demonstration, but from the realization that you have been a force to be reckoned with all along.